Snowstorms had a cruel way of swallowing sound, as if the world held its breath in fear of what the cold might claim next. On a bitter December night, the city streets were nearly empty, except for the few desperate souls trying to outrun the winter. Cars slid by with their headlights slicing through the dark, and the pavement shimmered under layers of ice. But in front of a towering corporate building, beneath the flickering glow of a street lamp, a small, trembling form sat curled against a concrete wall, her clothes torn, her skin pale, her breath fogging in weak bursts. She looked like she had been forgotten by the world. As the wind whipped through the sidewalks, a little girl in a pink coat tugged on her father's sleeve with urgency trembling in her voice. "Please help her, Daddy," she whispered, pointing at the shivering figure. That single plea became the spark that would rewrite the destinies of everyone standing there. If you believe in kindness, compassion, and second chances, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to Kindness Corner. And tell us in the comments, where are you watching from? Your support truly helps these stories reach more hearts. Arden Hale, a respected CEO known for his fierce business strategies but gentle parenting, had been walking home with his daughter Mira when she stopped dead in her tracks. She was only 6, yet her heart saw things most adults overlooked. Arden followed her gaze and felt something twist painfully inside him. The girl on the ground, frail, shaking, barely conscious, looked no older than her early 20s. Snow had settled in her hair, and her thin blanket was soaked through, offering no protection against the biting winter. Arden crouched slowly, careful not to startle her, but she didn't even lift her head. She was too weak. In that moment, he realized this wasn't simply an act of charity. If he left her there, she might not live long enough to see sunrise. He gently wrapped his coat around her shoulders, lifting her as if she weighed nothing. Mira held onto his arm, watching with wide, concerned eyes. Together they hurried through the swirling snow toward his car. The girl's name, they would later learn, was Seraphine Vale, soft-spoken, intelligent, once full of dreams, but crushed by circumstances that spiraled beyond her control. She had aged out of foster care, lost her job to layoffs, and when her small savings were stolen, her life unraveled faster than she could rebuild it. Arden listened quietly as she murmured pieces of her story during her first few days of recovery. Her voice trembled, not only from cold but from the memory of how quickly a life could fall apart. Arden offered her a temporary place to stay, a warm guest room, meals, safety, nothing extravagant, simply human dignity restored. At first Seraphine resisted, feeling ashamed and undeserving, but Myra's gentle presence softened her hesitation. Mira would sit beside her, offering drawings, stories, and small, innocent smiles that seemed to stitch hope back into Seraphine's heart. Slowly, Seraphine's strength returned. She began helping around the house, then assisting Arden with small administrative tasks to repay his kindness. Arden noticed how determined she was, how quickly she learned, how grateful she remained even for the smallest things. She never asked for more, she only wanted to stand again on her own 2 feet. And when spring arrived, bright and full of possibility, Seraphine made the difficult decision to leave. Arden offered her a job at his company, but Seraphine declined. She wanted to prove to herself that she could build her future through her own efforts, not through anyone's pity. With a firm resolve, she stepped into the world again, carrying the memory of that snowy night as a reminder of the kindness that had saved her life. Arden respected her choice, though Mira cried when she left. Seraphine promised to keep in touch, but life has a way of pulling people in different directions, and months turned into years with no word. Arden often wondered what had become of her. Sometimes he scanned faces in the crowd, hoping to catch a glimpse of her blonde hair or the determined light in her eyes. Mira, growing older and wiser each year, still remembered her vividly. But seasons changed, life moved forward, and Seraphine became a bittersweet memory, someone they had once rescued, someone who had taught them the quiet beauty of compassion. They never imagined how dramatically she would return. 7 years passed before the moment arrived. Arden had been attending a major charity gala hosted by Hale Industries. The event hall glowed with elegance, crystal chandeliers, polished floors, guests dressed in shimmering evening attire. The night's central announcement was the unveiling of a massive philanthropic partnership, a nationwide initiative aimed at supporting homeless youth, providing shelter, education, and career opportunities. Arden had personally funded much of it, inspired by a single winter night he had never forgotten. As guests whispered with admiration, the event coordinator announced the keynote speaker. When she stepped onto the stage, the room fell silent. Seraphine Vale. but she was transformed beyond recognition. She stood tall, confident, radiant. Her hair was neatly styled, her posture strong, and her eyes glimmered with a mix of gratitude and strength. She had become the founder of a rapidly growing nonprofit dedicated to helping abandoned young women. Her organization had pulled hundreds out of homelessness, offering counseling, job training, and safe housing. Seraphine's success wasn't built on sympathy, it was built on resilience forged from pain. When she spoke, her voice carried through the hall like a quiet storm. She shared her journey honestly, not hiding the nights she slept on cold sidewalks or the mornings she woke up believing life had nothing left for her. But then she paused, looking toward the audience with emotion trembling beneath her words. She explained how her life had been saved not by luck, but by a single father and his daughter who refused to walk past her suffering. She said their kindness had sparked the fire that guided her path, that every life she touched through her nonprofit was a ripple of the compassion she once received. Arden felt a lump rise in his throat. Mira, now a teenager, sat beside him with tears streaming down her cheeks. They had once saved her life, but now, she was saving countless others. And when Seraphine's eyes finally found Arden's across the room, they softened with recognition and unspoken gratitude. She stepped down from the stage and walked directly toward them. The reunion was quiet, emotional, filled with memories of where they had all begun. Seraphine explained how she had worked tirelessly, college classes, part-time jobs, volunteer work, fueled by the desire to honor the kindness she had been shown. She told Arden she returned not just to thank him, but to continue their shared mission of building a world where no one was left freezing and forgotten on the streets. Her success was no longer her own, it was something she wanted to multiply, to pass on, to spread wherever possible. Across the hall, cameras flashed, but the moment between them remained personal, grounded in something deeper than recognition or achievement. It was the moment where compassion completed its circle. Mira hugged Seraphine tightly, just as she had wanted to years ago on the snowy sidewalk, and Seraphine closed her eyes, letting the warmth of belonging sink into her bones. If this story touched your heart, please like, share, comment, and subscribe to Kindness Corner. Your support helps us continue sharing stories that inspire goodness. Before we end, tell us in the comments, what lesson from Seraphine's journey inspired you the most?